What if there was a proven system that, if implemented, your wife would be seducing you and enjoying intimacy, even if she hasn't in over 20 years? Well, I bet you'd want to know what it is. Hi, I'm Belah Rose, and I am, by God's grace, able to speak to hundreds of thousands of people around the world in my awarded podcast, Delight Your Marriage. And through the Masculinity Reclaimed program, Be Respected, Enjoy Fierce Intimacy, and Love Being Married Again, I work with husbands that allows them to get the system and understand the milestones and know how to implement it so that by the end of that program, they have truly transformed. When you know and implement this, you can be assured and confident that your wife is actually attracted to you and that she really does love you more than the kids and the housework and her daily to-dos and everything else that's on her plate. Once you understand how to implement the MR strategies, then you can actually enjoy the years of marriage that you have left. When you have that intimately fulfilling marriage, then it feels free and peaceful and happy for both of you. So that's what this video is all about. Are you ready to achieve that passion and have an engaged and wife that enjoys making love and enjoys her own pleasure in intimacy with you? So as a podcaster, author, and intimacy coach, my work is heard in 155 countries worldwide by God's grace. And a lot of men say, "You think like a man. You can articulate my feelings better than I can myself." And on and on. I'm so grateful for that. But I did not start out that way. I was totally unaware of sexual truths about men. And it caused me so much strife in my marriage. I didn't know how to love him. He didn't understand how to invite me into a new recognition and awakening in my own sexuality. So eventually the pain for both of us became so difficult that it resulted in abuse and negativity and criticism and control. It was a horrible situation, and it ended in divorce. So because of my woundedness and pain and harm that was caused in my first marriage, I went away from God and I pursued understanding sex and men my own way. When I got my heart broken yet again, I decided I wanted a man who treasured me as a woman, not just as a piece of meat. I found that man and we got married, and shortly thereafter, I felt taken for granted yet again. We were still having sex generously, but it was really just to appease him, maybe accommodate his need that I now understood. But it wasn't because I emotionally and physically craved him sexually. So this ended up in a pursuit of my sexual wholeness and freedom in intimacy. And I started to uncover my blocks and the half-truths that I thought I understood about sex. And I replaced them with a culture in our marriage that reignited passion, fun, and God-centered fulfillment that allowed generous and passionate, fulfilling intimacy in our lives together. So when I think about how it feels to go from horribly painful relationship to feeling filled up in every way, every day in your marriage, I'm reminded of some of my clients. I'm reminded of a gentleman who came to me, and these are going to be some quotes I'll read out for you. He said, "I felt like I was living with a roommate instead of my wife. Sex was just intercourse and nothing else. It was always the same thing, the same way, with no variety at all. It was very unintimate. Lovemaking was always at the forefront of my mind, though, and I couldn't focus on other things because I didn't want to miss an opportunity to make love to my wife. I felt like I had to walk on eggshells around my wife so I didn't ruin an opportunity. I felt like there was a lot of anxiety around sex, and it caused us both to be irritable, which caused a lot of arguments. Then, only when he went through my program, after 90 days, he said, "My wife is initiating now and thinking about me in that respect." Belah, I just want to say thank you for these last 3 months. The things I have learned are really priceless when it comes to my marriage. When I first started this program, it seemed like my wife didn't want to even talk to me, much less make love to me. Man, how things have changed. The changes that I see in my wife are nothing short of a miracle. She has went from cold and callous to warm and loving. The kisses have gotten longer and more frequent. Lovemaking is incredible, and the emotional connection is real and much stronger than ever before, and continues to grow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Really fantastic. Another gentleman, I'll just share a brief moment of his story, and I'll say these are not uncommon stories. But he came into my Masculinity Reclaimed program with a lot of reservations, a lot of skepticism, truly. And it wasn't because he was bad or his wife was bad. It was just they had gotten so downtrodden. He had tried for years, and things had not changed. So he had a lot on his plate to try to have faith and hope that things could change. And he was really clear that it was his wife that had done a lot of the wrongdoing in their marriage. And he had been seeking for her to be generous in intimacy and even specific types of intimacy. And I hear this a lot from gentlemen. They really are seeking for penny in their marriage. And men come to me often with that desire, and sadly, with a painful past of her rejection, defensiveness, and mean comments about his member and how important it is to him. During the program, within very early on, maybe the first week or two, she apologized to him for the things and the comments she had made, and she didn't even know he was taking the program. And throughout the program, she began initiating Penny in their marriage and started telling him that she wanted that included in their intimacy now. Before I tell you more about the Masculinity Reclaimed program, it's important that I share this program is so focused on helping you learn and implement. So it's extremely interactive. And I'm now only going to be offering this program once a year, which is important so that I can run with the gentleman in my program, rather than just give a bunch of information and not tailor it to your specific needs. So since it's that online coaching program, registration is only going to be open for a short amount of time. And I'll close the registration so we can get started with the class. And again, at this time, I don't plan to launch it again until next year. But since you're watching this video, either you're a husband who wants her confidence and her desire to please you to increase, and her willingness and interest to try new things and be spontaneous in intimacy, or maybe you want her to start initiating and actually want sexual intimacy with you to increase her desire and frequency in intimacy. Or maybe you just want to learn how to make her enjoy it, how to cause her to have an orgasm, how to get her to be turned on. Or lastly, maybe you are looking to learn how to love your wife better, how to woo her, romance her, and how to help her heal from sexual trauma or misunderstandings of certain Christian modeling that maybe she's had over her life. You also might be saying, all of the above. If that's the case, the Masculinity Reclaimed program is the one that's going to get you there. First of all, when you do join the Masculinity Reclaimed, be respected, enjoy fierce intimacy, and love being married again. It gives you lifetime access to the proven system. That's a total of 12 full modules, and that clarifies your strategic timing of when to implement what. So that by the time you're going to accomplish the course, if you really give yourself to it and really do the work, you'll have a marriage that makes you feel loved. You don't even have to think about sex anymore because it's generous, it's enthusiastic, it's a wonderful part of your life. And this is the system that a gentleman who went through the MR program said, Belah understands what husbands and wives need. I'm a graduate of her program, and my marriage has never been this intimate, and we've been married for decades. We say now that we were merely roommates with benefits. Only months ago, we were on the brink of divorce, but Belah's program showed me what is important to her. All I did was learn about how I can change, implemented her lessons, and my wife and I fell in love for real. Every day now is like magic, but this program is so much more than intimacy. You'll learn to be the man of her dreams. It's so easy. I can't put a price on this kind of wisdom. We are profoundly grateful. So during the 90-day program of the interactive live coaching, you're going to learn the specific milestones to accomplish in your marriage in order to know that you should go to the next step and you're ready for it, strategically speaking, based on where you are. What are the key things that you need to focus on to ensure your wife feels safe, cherished, and known? That's going to be covered. How do you awaken her sexual sensitivities? How do you cause her to be attracted to you, even if it feels like she's repelled by you and sex at this point? I'm going to show you how to do all of that in the Masculinity Reclaimed program. The bottom line is that we're going to cover a lot of ground, but we're going to do it step by step by step based on where you are now. But that's not enough. I want to take you beyond just knowing and right into action and fast results, which is why this program is set up to give you support and guidance as you implement. Which means there's going to be weekly accountability forms where I can review your progress. How are you doing on a day-to-day basis? And we cover specific steps in that accountability form so I know how to guide you to the next step. And then we have weekly live coaching question and answer calls. And here is where you get your specific questions answered on a team coaching call so that you can also hear how others are doing. And that honestly is one of my favorite parts about this program because people realize, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. Understand that there are others that are running this race with you and encouraging you. And I give you tailored advice and tailored specific answers to your questions. And I address a lot of the things that are mentioned on the accountability form on those calls. So that is weekly. But then even in a more specific daily way, we have a real-time system for you to get support and encouragement. And that is a private online communication platform that allows you to share questions, concerns, and people support you and encourage you along the way as you're implementing. So now you're probably thinking that I've put together a pretty amazing offer for you, but I thought long and hard about how I could make this offer even better so that this is a no-brainer, because there are certain things that come up time and time again that the men I work with need help with. And the first bonus that I would like to include in this program offer for you is basically helping your wife release the control and become a bit more relaxed and rejuvenated in enjoying life with you. From controlling to wisely carefree, which is you inviting your wife to relax and enjoy life with you. The next bonus that I'm super excited to bring to you, and this is for men who may be hesitant about how to share a program like this or my materials in general with your wife. Maybe you've already shared things and it hasn't gone over well. I have specifically put together a course that allows you to understand the tenets and the milestones you want to hit before sharing something like this with your wife. And so what I call that course is Strategically Share. Wisely introduce your wife to the MR program and other DYM material. Yes, I'm super specific about this course because in this course, it's brand new, but it's been proven over and over again with other spouses where I've worked with the husband, and because I worked with the husband, the wife becomes interested. She even reaches out to me on her own to then work with me in the woman's program, Delighted Wife. So these are tried and true practices that have allowed other men to enjoy greatly in their marriages as a result of implementing these wisely, strategically, and in the correct order. And again, that's a $297 course that's not being offered to the general public, but at this point, I want to offer this to you. All right, so this is an additional bonus. I'm super excited. It's brand new. It's called Wild Romance. Rediscover what you had at first. So you may be thinking that in the beginning, you guys were passionate and excited lovers. She was enthusiastic. She was open to try new things. She was spontaneous. What happened? She very well may be thinking, in the beginning, there was so much romance and thought and enjoyment of the little details. My husband now is lazy and doesn't even try anymore to woo me. And you might be thinking, I don't even know what to do. And anything I do is not appreciated. So that's what this course is all about, is helping you get to a space where you know exactly how to woo your wife and romance her and cause her to be excited about that romantic culture that you all cultivate together. And given that my husband and I definitely have a wild romance, even with 2 young children in the house, even during quarantine when we live in an apartment in New York City, it is possible, and I want to show you the steps. And again, that's a $297 valued program that I'm including in this package offer for you. So if you add up just the value of those last 3 bonuses, well, that's already bringing you to about $900. And so by now you're probably wondering, what's the cost of the full Masculinity Reclaimed, Be Respected, Enjoy Fierce Intimacy, and Love Being Married Again, including the lifetime access to the system, which is the weekly online modules, videos, audios, and assignments. And then the 3 months of the weekly Q&A coaching calls with me personally, where I will tailor advice to you specifically, which includes all of the accountability throughout that 12-week period, as well as your support from the private community, and including the bonuses from Controlling to Carefree and Strategically Share, as well as Wild Romance and Awaken Her Sexuality. All of that included is just $14.97 as a full payment. Or if you want to break it up into 3 payments, that'll be $527 each payment. Or if you decide you'd like to break it up into 5 payments, it'll be $357 per month. If you want fulfilling, generous, and incredible intimacy, then you have to be strategic. You have to get a proven system and implement it. If you truly had a sexually free and satisfying intimacy, how would your life be affected? So go ahead and hit the button below the video and join me in the Masculinity Reclaimed, Be Respected, Enjoy Fierce Intimacy, and Love Being Married Again. I'm not going to be offering this course for another year, and it's several times more in the meantime if you want to do it with me one-on-one. But if you're having concerns about money, are you open to some coaching? Here's what I know about money. Because I work with people all the time in this arena, let me share with you that what I've learned, number one, is that when people really need something, their child gets sick, needs a procedure, their car breaks down, their wife has an accident. They may have to transfer money from somewhere. They may have to borrow it from a friend, relative, or maybe they get credit. But ultimately, they find the money. And when they see the severe need, they take action. And what I see over and over again is people who are on the brink of divorce, which, just so you know, financially speaking, on average is an immediate $15,000. Not to mention tearing a family apart, impacting their kids' kids, as well as everyone else they know. So if your family is being destroyed or poorly impacted because you're a 2 out of 10 or even a 7 or 8 out of 10, and you've contemplated divorce, that is a crisis, and it is worth far more than what you're risking by entertaining the idea of divorce. You're risking the happiness and fulfillment of your kids, yourself, and your wife. I've worked with couples who were separated at the time when I started working with the husband, and he attracted her back. She then told me that it was worth every penny. Here's the number 2 thing that I want to share with you about money. We always say, when I get the money, I'll go and get that degree, I'll go back to school, I'll change jobs, I'll do that program. We have to understand that life doesn't actually work that way, especially as people of faith. You know this is true. We have to apply our faith and commit before we can see change and transformation. It is a leap of faith, but with that is a decision and means you cut off the other options and you decide that you're going to change the destiny and legacy of your family. I'm curious if I can coach you a bit more on this financial decision, if you're open to it. How much are your coping mechanisms that you're using right now to distract yourself away from the pain of not having a sexually fulfilling life costing you? Just in mere money amounts. Maybe it's alcohol, cigarettes, unhealthy eating, or any other possible addiction. Well, financially speaking, it's a minimum of $20 per week, $1,000 a year. Over 30 years, that's $30,000. And then your literal health, which think of the possibly $50,000 or $100,000 in medical bills, not even mentioning loss of satisfaction in life. What if you actually wanted to be home with her? What if we switched gears and imagined what you'd gain if your sex life were fun, free, and fierce? It would probably impact your sense of confidence, your focus, your peace, your stress and anxiety levels, your faith, your freedom from temptation that leads you to shame and distraction and separates you from God. Your sense of self-worth, your vitality and health, and even your sleep, your financial creativity. Imagine how much more money you could make if this were fixed. And you suddenly had your sense of confidence, focus, peace, low stress, self-worth, vitality, health, and sleep fixed. Could that earn you another $1,000 a year? $5,000? $10,000? And then extrapolate that out over the next 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions. It's not uncommon even for people to finish my program and start new business ventures, new passions, new pursuits, even ministries that they have felt called to for years, but now finally have the capacity to do it in their heart, mind, and in their life. I hope that you are going to go ahead and click that button and join me now. But let me add one final exciting surprise that is really the last piece of the puzzle. It's the bonus, awaken her sexuality. What you do intimately makes all the difference for her. So this is a deep dive into the practices a husband can do to awaken his wife's sexuality, even when only the husband does my program. I've had wives tell me they've never experienced such sensations before in intimacy. I've even heard from husbands that it was healing of their own past sexual trauma. This is not a course that I plan to make available aside from this program, because it won't be on the foundation of the Masculinity Reclaimed principles that are required for it to be effective. So if you give yourself to the MR program, this is the course that's going to be the dramatic change for you and your wife, sexually speaking. Awaken her sexuality. Awesome. So let me tell you the guarantee, 14-day money-back guarantee, standard. I don't want you to do this if you are not happy with it. Not even close. So I want you to have complete freedom, feeling like this is the right choice for you. If you're curious, because if you don't do it now, obviously I'm not going to be offering it for another year, but when is the right time for you to change your marriage? For you to care about how this aspect of your life influences everything else, from your kids to being a better father, for being a better provider, for being a better husband. It's affecting the other people that you love, whether you know it or not. I work with couples who have been married for 2, 3, 4 decades, and they look at me teary-eyed, wishing they had gotten this figured out sooner. They wasted so many years of unhappiness and loneliness, even though they were married. Don't let that be you. Maybe something you're thinking about is, you should already know this. You should have this figured out. Who takes an intimacy course? Well, many men do, and I think it's the smart ones that do, because 75% of the people in the world don't have this figured out. First of all, 50% end in divorce, and 50% of those that stay married are unhappy. Is that smart, doing what most people do? Or is it actually smart getting the tools, getting the guidance, being strategic and wise and God-centered to have this figured out? But it truly is the thing that will have you getting amazing results in your marriage. If you're concerned that she's not going to be okay with you spending money without her knowing, this is a hard one. I'm just going to say that straight off. I am about being honest and open with your spouse on every level. That's my goal for you and for your marriage, just so you know. The problem is, if you guys are so far down on the scale of marital health, it really doesn't matter what you do. It's not going to be received well. Many men go through this program where, one, their wife didn't know, and when they strategically shared, after what we worked through together, she was actually glad and supported it because she saw how much her husband had changed. I've also worked with men whose wives were against it, and after he graduated, she was so grateful that he did the work that she came to me to then work with me. That's happened many times. Here's what I see as my role. You've got a wound between you and your wife, and I'm kind of like the stitches to help you guys get back together and really reconnect you. But the thing that has to happen is time for it to truly heal. But once the stitches are in, once the time has healed it, you don't need me anymore. I'm not going to be involved. But right now, you need help stitching what's been wounded between you and your wife back together, and the time, and of course, God's kindness to heal it. If you do share it at the wrong timing, I will say that some wives are suspect from the get-go, and it's harder for them to have great results. It's just the truth. Some men decide that they're going to work with me and be strategic on how they share it, and then she's on board and even wants to do my program next. But also, when this is fixed, you are a better father. You are a better employee or business person or entrepreneur or what have you, financially speaking. You're a better friend. And you can love others better because you yourself are not caught up in the pain and the sadness and the agony of not feeling loved in your marriage. Of my students achieved the outcome of your wife seducing you and enjoying it, 31% the wife knew. 15% the wife knew, didn't like it, then changed her tune and was happy he did it. Another 15% the wife didn't know when she found out she didn't like it until she saw his transformation and she did like that. And then 39% of wives didn't know and the transformation happened anyway. So that's just the data. That's just the data, so you are aware. What if your thought is that things are already beginning to change in your marriage? You don't need coaching because things are already moving in the right direction. I have an unorthodox method, and if you parse some of my stuff with others, it's quite possible you're not going to get the results that I experience with my clients over and over again by God's grace. When something is new and unusual, in the beginning is when you need the most help. It's most likely in that beginning zone where you're likely going to give up and go back to old patterns that got you the same old negative results. So when you are in the beginning of change, I want you to use that inertia to see it all the way through, to see your marriage actually transform. And I say that because I'm thinking about some particular situation, but some situations where the husband stopped working on what we had gone through together, even though the husband was seeing great transformation in his marriage, he decided to stop moving forward in the program. And now things are still in shambles. Whereas the people that continued the program, his cohort, continued the program, continued seeing amazing results in their marriage that are long-term, that have been sustained even after rechecking a year later. I encourage you, you've seen maybe some changes in your marriage. That's great. Use that inertia. Move it all the way forward. Get your marriage all the way changed rather than go an inch and then step back. The other thing is, you might be thinking, she's the one who needs the change, and she won't do this. She has no interest in your work, Belah. There's no way she's going to do this. Well, the truth is, yes, she probably does need to change. Here's what I see. Sometimes I work with wives, and because their husband doesn't figure out and doesn't understand his part in all of this, he actually undermines everything that she strives to do. I've seen it too many times. And it's very sad because she does all the cool stuff. She learns all the stuff. She gets it. And yet, because he didn't understand, foundationally speaking, his part to play, he undermined her progress and she went back to where she was before. It was short-lived. So I have seen it where a husband has undermined her progress. I've also seen it where the husband is the only one who does the work and things dramatically transform. I'm going to just read through a couple testimonials that had that perspective. It said, "It's hard to put into words how this program has changed my marriage. I wish I would have taken this course earlier. I never understood some of the feelings my wife had, and now that I do, it's changed my marriage, and I'm in love with my wife. Thank you, Belah." Another one, "I would recommend this program to any husband who feels trapped like I did when I first reached out to Belah. The changes I made in myself changed my wife. For that, I will always be thankful." Number 3, "Belah has transformed my life. I will never be the same. She has given me joy, hope, confidence, and the realization that it's okay to be a man. She has also given me a wife who knows how to bring joy and love to her husband. I will always be grateful for you, pray for you, and will never forget you. I'm fighting back tears as I type this. So honored and grateful." One last thing for you here as we wrap up. I'm not some intimacy magician. Through my history, I just stumbled onto a discovery that I believe God revealed. Since then, I have continually worked on it, refining it, adding to it, perfecting it, and the result is a method, is a system, a process that has been proven and can be applied over and over and over again. If you are ready to have that incredible intimacy in your marriage, the next step is to click the order button and go ahead and get registered to the Masculinity Reclaimed, Be Respected, Enjoy Intimacy, and Love Being Married Again. Enroll and say yes to the marriage where your wife seduces you and enjoys intimacy with you. Click the button and we will get started very, very soon. God bless you. Bye.